company of his angels. Amen. Carefully opening the front binding, Mayer could perceive no obvious identifying marks, no title or indication of subject matter. He was confronted by a simple but elegantly decorated text, with a minuscule script inscribed in black ink, set out in 2 columns across 127 leaves, or pages, and a mixture of red and blue capital letters, each embellished with ornate, swirling, abstract designs. The first page showed some signs of water damage, but was still legible, so he examined the earliest sections of the work and jotted down a quick summary of his initial findings. Contains an original chronicle, which seems to report the conflict that broke out in England during the reign of Stephen, nephew of Henry I. Mayer began to suspect that this manuscript had remained untouched and unopened for at least 250 years. He would later write that this book strongly excited my curiosity, but this was in large part because he had no idea what it might be. In all his studies, he had never come across any mention of a medieval French verse account of this type. His interest was piqued. As he sat through the auction later that day, noting the bidding on Lot 51, it became obvious that the attention of others had also been drawn. The British Museum offered £200, then the archivist Sir Frederick Madden raised this to £250, but they had no chance of matching the famed book collector and antiquarian Sir Thomas Phillips, a self-confessed bibliomaniac renowned for his outrageous profligacy. Phillips bid the enormous price of £380, 9,500 French francs by Mayer's calculation, adding Lot 51 to the other 34 Saville manuscripts he snapped up that day. As the sale came to a close, the mysterious Norman French Chronicle on English affairs was packed away. Mayer would not see the text again for 20 years, and would only later realize that on that Wednesday in 1861 he had briefly handled a work of extraordinary importance, the sole surviving copy of an unknown biography detailing the life of an illustrious medieval knight. A man who rose through the ranks, serving the English crown, befriended the likes of Richard the Lionheart and Eleanor of Aquitaine, helped to negotiate the terms of Magna Carta, and defended England from French invasion at the age of 70. This storied warrior was William Marshal, and, unbeknown to Mayer, his body lay buried in London's Temple Church, less than a mile from Sotheby's. In the years that followed, Paul Mayer's professional career flourished, but he became increasingly fixated by the intriguing Norman French Chronicle he had seen in 1861. 2 years after the London auction, he was formally attached to the manuscripts department of the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris, and sent to comb the great British libraries in London, Oxford, Cambridge, Glasgow, and Edinburgh, in search of manuscripts related to the culture and history of medieval France. He began to publish, earning a reputation for erudition and meticulous scholarship, even as archivists and academics across Europe continued to push back the frontiers of knowledge and chart the course of the Middle Ages. Yet in all this time, Mayer could not forget Lot 51. At first, his inquiries began in a leisurely, almost random manner, confident that a reference to the Norman French Chronicle on English affairs must appear somewhere amid the lists of manuscripts already archived in France, Britain, and Germany. A slow search began, through thousands of entries in each of the august institutions Mayer toured. But, after years of increasingly painstaking research, he still had found no mention of any work that resembled the elusive verse text. Even more frustrating was the fact that Lot 51 appeared to have vanished into the Phillips collection. Sir Thomas's extraordinary personal library contained some 60,000 manuscripts, acquired over many decades and deposited at his Middle Hill estate in Worcestershire. Since 1837, he had been slowly but fastidiously cataloguing these works, apportioning each text a unique reference number, and then proudly publishing an ever-expanding inventory via a small private printing press. Few copies of these lists were circulated, yet Mayer tracked them down. But even here he could find no mention of his obscure manuscript, though other works bought in the Saville auction were noted. Part of the